Los números: su organización, el nombre y el número del caso, si está de acuerdo con o en contra del caso, su relación al caso, si es pariente, abogado, fiscal o víctima. Cuenta que no proveemos intérpretes para ningún idioma. Por favor, haga arreglos con un amigo o familiar que le pueda servir de intérprete. Cartas en español pueden mandarse por adelantado al mismo correo electrónico al cual se mandan las tarjetas.
For future stuff, can we talk afterwards?
If you wish to speak, please complete a fillable speaker card and send to bph.speakercards@cdcr.ca.gov. The speaker card is available on the board's website at cdcr.ca.gov/bph. Completing the form is voluntary. All persons may attend the meeting and make comments. If you wish to remain anonymous, enter anonymous next to the speaker name on the speaker card. You may also enter the last 2 digits of your call-in number for identification when it is time for you to speak. You may also call 916-322-4752 to register your speaker information. If you need to leave a voicemail message, please include your name or anonymous, your telephone number or last 2 digits, organization if applicable, name of case on agenda and CDCR number, whether you are calling in support or in opposition of parole, and identify yourself as family, attorney, district attorney, victim, next of kin, anonymous, or other. Please note interpreters will not be provided for any language. Please make arrangements with a friend or family member to interpret for you. Additional time will be provided. Spanish letters may be submitted in advance for translation to the speaker card email address. Si desea hacer un comentario, por favor llene una tarjeta y lo manda al correo electrónico bph.spekercards@cdcr.ca.gov. La tarjeta está disponible en nuestro sitio web
I'm just going on my break. That's all right.
cdcr.ca.gov/.
Mhm.
Moderator, are we ready to begin?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Mr. Schneider, are we ready to begin? Good morning. I'm Scott Wyckoff, Executive Officer for the Board of Parole Hearings. Thank you for being with us today and welcome to the Board of Parole Hearings monthly Executive Board meeting. We are hosting this meeting in person and by video and telephone using Microsoft Teams. We have a majority of commissioners in person for this meeting as required by the law. For those participating by video, if you experience connectivity issues during the meeting, we have found that turning off your camera may help you see and hear those who are speaking and help us to hear you when you are speaking. If you wish to speak today, we ask that you please fill out a speaker card on the board's website under the tab called Board Meetings and the link called Meeting Agendas. We will also provide an opportunity for those who have not submitted a speaker card to comment. You can find additional documents with helpful instructions and tips for participating in today's meeting on the board's website. Just go to the tab at the top called Board Meetings and select the link for meeting agendas. There is also a helpline available during the meeting if you are experiencing difficulties. Please call 916-445-4072. The phone number is also on the first page of today's agenda, and the agenda page of the board's website. If no one immediately answers your call, please leave a message. Someone will return your call as quickly as possible. Most commissioners and board staff use computers to take notes during the meeting, so please do not be concerned if a commissioner is looking at their computer while someone is speaking. We ask that you please mute your computer, microphone, or phone. If you do not mute yourself, a moderator will mute you to eliminate feedback and background noise. Your comments are important to us, and we want to hear from everyone. For this reason, comments may only be made after the moderator calls a speaker's name or identifies them by their login credentials. We will call cases in the order they are listed on the agenda. Once a speaker is called upon, they will be able to unmute their microphone to make a comment. Please be respectful and refrain from engaging in disruptive behavior, or you may be removed from the meeting. Please note that some speakers may include explicit crime details in their statements during this meeting. This could trigger strong reactions or be difficult to hear for some people and is not appropriate for children. Written statements may be submitted to the email address on the agenda, and written statements are considered the same as oral comments. All comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. We ask that you please be respectful of the time limits. Also, if you timely submitted a written statement to the board, the commissioners will consider it. For this reason, you are encouraged to reference your written statement and use your time today to provide additional information as needed. Once the board has heard comments on each case on the agenda, the board will go into closed session to deliberate and vote on each case. Board staff will post the decisions for today's cases within 24 hours in the lobby on the ground floor of the board's website at 1515 K Street, Sacramento, and on the board's website. I will now turn the meeting over to Commissioner Schneider.
Good morning. Today's date is March 19th of 2025. The Board of Parole Hearings Executive Board meeting is now reconvened. I will now call the roll for the commissioners participating in public comment, deliberations, and voting on the cases on today's agenda. Chairperson, present. Commissioner Barton.
Present.
Commissioner Cassady.
Present.
Commissioner Garland.
Present.
Commissioner Infante.
Present.
Commissioner Kozel.
Present.
Commissioner Muniz.
Present.
Commissioner Nwajei.
Present.
Commissioner Purcell.
Present.
Commissioner Sheffield.
Present.
Commissioner Thornton.
Present.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
All right. Please note for the minutes that a majority of the commissioners currently appointed are present in person at 1515 K Street in Sacramento. We will now hear comments regarding cases on today's agenda. For each case, first we will take comments from those in support of the incarcerated person, starting with the speaker cards and then those who did not submit a speaker card. Then we will take comments from those in opposition to the incarcerated person, starting with speaker cards and then calling those who did not submit a speaker card. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. There is no rebuttal. If you are speaking, please eliminate any background noise. The moderator will call your name or identify you by your phone number when it is your turn. Your 2 minutes will begin when you start to speak. The first case today is Joseph Bruno Martinez, CDCR number G as in George 45784, item 26. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first speaker card I have is for Christian Ramirez. Christian Ramirez, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself or press *6 by telephone. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Ramirez.
There's a button there, sir.
Sorry, this is the first one. I've done the virtual before. So good morning. My name is Christian Ramirez. I'm also formerly incarcerated. I went through the BPH process. I'm here in support of Joe Bruno. How I intersected with Joe Bruno, I actually known him when I was like 13. But I came back into the carceral setting with the California Medical Facility to facilitate curriculum with my previous employment. So this is how I know him. A little bit of background regarding me specifically. When I was 15, committed a crime. From 15 to 29, I was incarcerated on a 27-year sentence, and then eventually I got out through BPH with Commissioner Minor. But for the most part, I'm here in support of Joe Bruno. One of the things about me specifically, since being released from prison, I kind of learned how to like intersect and navigate through the systems in the carceral setting, but also too, as a Sac State student within the space of social work, I'm able to kind of assess and address needs. Currently, I do work with a lot of people that are formerly incarcerated, so I'm able to assist and mentor, but also to connect with resources and contacts. For me, at least, man, it's a unique conversation with seeing Joe Bruno within the carceral setting. Because one of the things I realized was within that setting, a lot of the grief loss that hasn't been processed kind of becomes like this thing that gets stuck with an individual. But through the dialogue that I had with Joe Bruno and sorry, I give a second, especially I got 50. I was like, I got enough time. I'm trying to speed up, but stop. Give me a second. So coming back into the carceral setting, right? I didn't really see him for a minute. And then when I did see him again, I like didn't realize the growth that he kind of showed and kind of like displayed within that group setting as a facilitator. And for me, like to have dialogues at such a depth with him specifically kind of told me that he has processed a lot of his like grief loss issues. And the other thing too, like his visions with like helping, assisting, and also navigating through the systems without like really the identification that came with gang affiliation was the thing that kind of impressed me. But also too, I think seeing him and actually intersecting with him and actually having him apologize to me for the negative influence he's kind of like had on me, because I was like 13 when I first met him, was something that kind of showed me a lot of his development. I'm in here to support him in whatever way he kind of needs, whether it's mentoring, like contacts and stuff like that. So thank you. I just want to say.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The second speaker I have in person, Jose Gonzalez. Jose, go ahead and approach the podium.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jose Gonzalez. I'm a reentry supervisor for Self-Warrants and Recovery, an organization committed to reducing recidivism by helping former incarcerated transition back into the community. SAR provides emotional literacy workshops and evidence-based trauma-informed programs that equip participants with cognitive behavior skills. I support Mr. Joe Bruno Martinez and ask that the board consider the demonstrated growth and commitment to change. He has completed all required programs in CDCR and shown a remarkable transformation despite the challenges of incarceration. I have known him since 2020. I also am formerly incarcerated. I did 26 years. I have been mentoring Joe for the last 5 years, working with him one-on-one. He has a paid internship with Self-Warrants and Recovery upon his release to give back to the community and demonstrate his commitment to positive change. I am a registered voter, law-abiding citizen, and a father. I understand the importance of second chances. I respectfully ask the board to grant mercy and release upon Joe Bruno Martinez, allowing him to continue his journey of positive transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of Joseph Bruno Martinez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of Joseph Bruno Martinez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Joseph Bruno Martinez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Joseph Bruno, no more speakers in support of Joseph Bruno Martinez.
Thank you. Moderator, we will now take speakers in opposition to Joseph Bruno Martinez.
Thank you. We do have a speaker, Dean Archibald, DDA of Sacramento County. Dean, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Morning, Commissioners. This is Dean Archibald, Deputy District Attorney, Sacramento County District Attorney's Office. With regard to Mr. Bruno Martinez's petition for executive clemency, our office has submitted or provided a written submission to the board. Sacramento County District Attorney's Office is opposed to a grant of executive clemency for Mr. Bruno Martinez. The reason for that is Mr. Bruno Martinez's record is such that the crime and his criminal record prior to that are appalling, and his progress in prison, at least as it's known to us, is nothing impressive. Our office is unaware of any qualities in Mr. Bruno Martinez or progress on his part that would warrant a grant of executive clemency. Of course, that's within the purview of the governor, but we're not aware of any justification that would make such a dramatic decision by the judge, by the governor, something that's warranted or appropriate. Mr. Bruno Martinez is someone who has lived a life of criminality, and that those problems as antisocial and rule violation problems have continued in prison. This is a secondary consideration. Mr. Bruno Martinez has been engaged in litigation with regard to his life crime conviction. His 1172.6 petition has been rejected. It's being appealed. He's filed a habeas corpus petition that's under review. The point being, this is someone who is actively engaged in litigating his conviction. That's great. Through the criminal justice process, he has received the outcome that he desires to this point, but he has options. He's working on it. This is someone who's not deserving of some sort of emergency, last-ditch opportunity to be free.
Your 2 minutes has elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Sure, yes, ma'am. Someone who deserves to be freed in some dramatic decision by the governor from the consequences of his crime. We would urge a negative report on Mr. Bruno Martinez's petition for executive clemency. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Joseph Bruno Martinez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Joseph Bruno Martinez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Joseph Bruno Martinez? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak about Joseph Bruno Martinez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Joseph Bruno Martinez.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Ramirez, you're welcome to stay for the entire hearing, or if you'd like to excuse yourself now, you surely may. Thank you. That his case has been completed for the testimony. All right, the next case is David Fitz. K as in King 14129, item 27. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of David Fitz and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of David Fitz, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of David Fitz? Chairperson, there appear to be no speakers in support of David Fitz.
All right, we'll now call for speakers in opposition to David Fitz.
Thank you. We do have a speaker card, Julianne Walker, DDA of Los Angeles County. Julianne, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak. Julianne, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
I'm sorry. There we go. All right. Good morning. This case should not be recommended for the largesse of the governor's commutation power. It's perhaps appropriate for Innocence Project or LADA Conviction Review Unit to investigate inmates Fitz claims of innocence and wrongful conviction. The jury's verdict has been upheld on appeal. His habeas petitions and resentencing motions have been denied. Thus, making Fitz eligible for parole will be focused on his implausible denial that he killed one man and seriously wounded another in a gang turf robbery. He was also tried but acquitted in a prior robbery murder where a produce truck driver was shot in the head. The trial court recently ruled on July 25th, 2024, that he was a direct perpetrator, aider and abetter, and alternatively, a major participant in the murder and attempted murder in the course of the robbery, and thus he was not eligible for resentencing. What makes his implausible denial particularly unsound is the inmate's claim in his application that law enforcement planted fingerprints in order to prevail or lied at the preliminary hearing about it. This doesn't explain how he was convicted by a jury, and all of his appeals have been denied. The LADA office is opposed to commutation of Fitz LWOP sentence as he is not engaged in genuine pro-social rehabilitation since he's not accepted responsibility for his actions and therefore is lacking insight due to his denial. He continues to engage in criminal thinking and remains a current and unreasonable risk to public safety. Thus, we request that you deny approving his recommendation for commutation. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to David Fitz and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to David Fitz, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to David Fitz? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak about David Fitz? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for David Fitz.
All right, the next case is Andrew Clark, F as in Frank, 59288, item number 28. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you would like to speak in support of Andrew Clark and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of Andrew Clark, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who wants to speak in support of Andrew Clark? Chairperson, there appear to be no speakers in support of Andrew Clark.
All right, we will now take speakers in opposition to Andrew Clark.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have a couple speaker cards. The first is Dino Paraskevopoulos. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name. DDA of San Diego County. Dino, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak. Dino, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. I will circle back. The next is John Oliphant, DDA of Riverside County.
Good morning.
John,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Fabulous. Good morning. My name is John Oliphant. I'm a Riverside County Deputy District Attorney. This panel meets this morning to consider en banc new confidential information provided pursuant to a BPH-directed investigation. Mr. Clark has been in the medically assisted treatment program for over 2 years. He says he doesn't have an opioid addiction, and he hasn't used opioids his entire prison term. He admits that he lied to get into the program at the suggestion and complicity of medical staff. At his hearing, he claims his doctor and the MAT staff know that he does not have an addiction and have kept him in the program anyway. He gets Suboxone in sublingual form and takes it daily. These troubling allegations were the subject of this investigation. The results of that investigation have been shielded from scrutiny under the confidentiality statute pertaining to institutional safety. Surely the entirety of the inquiry is not subject to confidentiality, and we urge this body to provide transparency in this matter. Suboxone is an opioid developed for treating addiction to opioids. It is not approved by the FDA for pain relief. I quote from the literature, Suboxone sublingual film is not approved by the FDA for use as a pain relief medication. The inmate's allegations raise serious issues that go beyond the inmate's readiness to parole, and it's our hope that these allegations will be openly addressed. Thank you, panel.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Andrew Clark and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Andrew Clark, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. We have a hand raised, John Cross. Go ahead.
Yes, I spoke with Dino from my office. He's having some connectivity issues, so he should be on shortly.
Thank you, John. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Andrew Clark, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Andrew Clark? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak about Andrew Clark? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers at this time for Andrew Clark.
Yeah, agreed. Mr. Paraskopoulos, you are not present, sir. All right, then we will move on and come back to that at the end of our calendar. The next case is Justin Flournoy, K. King 24068, item 29. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of Justin Flournoy and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of Justin Flournoy, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of Justin Flournoy? Chairperson, there appear to be no speakers in support of Justin Flournoy.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Justin Flournoy.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Justin Flournoy and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Justin Flournoy, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to Justin Flournoy? Is there anyone else who would like to speak about Justin Flournoy? Chairperson, there appear to be no speakers for Justin Flournoy.
All right, the next case is Isaac Romero, V as in Victor 28806, item number 30. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you would like to speak in support of Isaac Romero and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of Isaac Romero, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself.
How do you press *6?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Rose Alma Romero, the daughter of Isaac Romero, here to speak on support. I just wanted to state that my dad has been doing a great job with his rehabilitation and all his classes. I've been by his side along the whole time, and I just wanted to, that's like it.
I'm sorry, you appear to be muted, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just having technical difficulties.
Please continue.
Again, he's been doing great with all his work, and that I support him and everything that he does, and he's just doing amazing. Sorry, it's trying to speak. And I think that's where I'm going to conclude it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak in support of Isaac Romero? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers in support of Isaac Romero.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Isaac Romero.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Isaac Romero and are on video, raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Isaac Romero, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition to Isaac Romero? Is there anyone who would like to speak about Isaac Romero? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Isaac Romero.
The next case is Frederick Willis, K as in King, 67955, item number 31. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you would like to speak in support of Frederick Willis and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in support of Frederick Willis, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of Frederick Willis? Chairperson, there appear to be no speakers in support of Frederick Willis.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Frederick Willis.
Thank you, Chairperson. We have a speaker card for Julianne Walker, DDA of Los Angeles County. We know you're here. Go ahead, Julianne.
Good morning again. In this matter, the inmate shot his wife in the head, apparently in jealousy over her infidelity. The victim suffered some permanent brain damage. He had just been released from prison for a conviction of a criminal threats PC 422, wherein the same victim was threatened. In that incident, he had also fired a shotgun. Her suspected infidelity had been the issue in that case as well. The new confidential information in this matter clearly shows on video that the inmate got angry, stood up, and threatened to kill another inmate. He had to be restrained by other inmates and convinced to sit back down. Though both inmates deny any animosity towards one another, it is obvious Willis continues to have anger issues that are connected to the life crime. Thus, this grant should be set for a rescission hearing, so this recent display of anger and failure to use his coping skills he should have internalized to calm himself can be addressed, and the panel can determine whether or not the grant should be, in fact, rescinded. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Frederick Willis and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Frederick Willis, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who would like to speak in opposition to Frederick Willis? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak about Frederick Willis? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Frederick Willis.
The next case is Benny Espinoza, V as in Victor, 90095, item number 32. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have a speaker card for Brandon Lee. looks like San Jose Public Defender's Office.
Thank you. My name is Brandon Lee. I'm a Deputy Public Defender at the Santa Clara County Public Defender's Office. My office has been working with Mr. Espinoza since 2022, and I've been regularly meeting with Mr. Espinoza about his youthful offender parole over the past year. First, to address the issue of restitution fraud, I confirmed with the Office of Victim and Survivor Rights and Services that Mr. Espinoza paid off direct victim restitution in full 7 years ago in 2018. The circumvention of restitution that occurred here was on a restitution fine, which is no longer being collected under AB 1186. Also, Mr. Espinoza took responsibility for the circumvention of the restitution fine at the parole board hearing and indicated approximately when he had discontinued that circumvention. He has otherwise shown a commitment to paying restitution and expressed insight into the importance of paying restitution. Regarding the governor's referral, Mr. Espinoza has an extensive support network. I believe you'll hear from several individuals this morning, including our re-entry specialist, who will describe the support Mr. Espinoza will have upon his release on parole, including access to housing, employment, and sponsorship. Mr. Espinoza has taken responsibility and demonstrated remorse for the commitment offense. His personal history of growing up in an abusive and neglectful environment substantiates the existence of youthful offender factors. He's shown extensive insight into his causative factors and a capacity to change, and he has demonstrated complete separation from gang involvement. We are requesting that the board affirm his grant of parole. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of Benny Espinoza and are on video, please raise your hand with the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. We have a hand raised. Ana Jimenez, go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ana Jimenez. I'm an outreach specialist with the Office of the Public Defender, Santa Clara County. I'm here to support Mr. Benny Espinoza's release. In my position, I work closely with public defender clients to help create intentional reentry plans to help our clients thrive in our community upon release. As an advocate for our clients, I work directly with agencies and services that help our clients have a successful reentry transition. Mr. Espinoza and I have known each other for about a year, and we have met and spoken regularly throughout all the adversity of his life, and including a challenging upbringing. Mr. Espinoza has maintained a positive attitude and outlook into his future. He has been committed and determined into his rehabilitation. His commitment to prepare for his release has given him an abundance of options for transitional housing, employment options to help secure his immediate needs. He has a solid support system, which includes his wife, Dolores Espinoza, and their children, his sponsor, Armando Munoz, his cousin, Jacob Villarreal. They're here present today via video to demonstrate their commitment and support for his release. Additionally, Mr. Espinoza will be case managed by myself and our office in the post-conviction unit, Santa Clara County, to help and support him one-on-one with an abundance of housing, employment, and reentry services to help him. Thank you.
Thank you. If you are on the phone and you want to speak in support of Benny Espinoza, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Benny Espinoza? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers in support of Benny Espinoza.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Benny Espinoza.
I'm sorry, we seem to have a couple of hand raised. Ana Jimenez?
Hi, I have
Yes?
a letter that is being written by his wife, Dolores. She's here on Teams, but she's having a difficulty logging in. May I read it for her?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Dolores Espinoza. I am Benny Espinoza's wife. I support him, and I have developed a plan to help my husband. Mr. Espinoza My goal is to create a stable and supportive environment that will minimize the risk of failure and allow my husband to build a positive future within myself and our family. I will be providing a safe and stable home for him. I will ensure he has access to essential resources, including food, clothing, and most important, transportation. I will provide emotional support and understanding. We will continue our necessary counseling and therapy sessions to address any underlying issues and support him going on his ongoing rehabilitation. I will actively support him with creating a resume, interview preparation, and I will help him to reconnect with his positive and supportive family members. I will assist him in fulfilling any parole requirements and ensure he attends all required meetings. While offering support, I will also encourage him to take full responsibility for his actions and choices. We will establish a clear boundaries to ensure a healthy balance. I will provide transportation and to any required appointments until he's fully able to obtain his own transportation. I understand the importance of providing structure and supportive environment for my husband, and I am confident that with this plan in place, he will be able to make a positive contribution to our family and our community. Thank you for your careful consideration of this matter. Sincerely, Ms. Dolores Espinosa. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that the hand raised is for opposition. Is that correct, Stephen Dick?
It is.
Okay. So we are able to go. Would you like me to continue with opposition, Chairperson?
Yes, the previous one was of course for support. Now we'll move to opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Stephen Dick. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
The inmate is incarcerated for a gang-related stabbing in which a 15-year-old died. It was a group crime. In 2019, he was involved with a gang-related stabbing. That person survived. It was a group-related crime. Up through 2023, he was engaged in restitution fraud, a violation of PC 155, 484, whatever crime else you want to do. He had his family members put money on other people's books, and then those people would then give the money to him. It was a group-related crime. The decision is sort of interesting. First of all, they don't talk about the restitution fraud at all. It's not even mentioned during the decision. They do indicate that he's been crime-free since 2019, which is obviously not true, but they don't even talk about what happened and those criminal activities that went on. And the other thing that's really weird is that on page 107, the commissioners, and this is page 107 of the transcript, they indicate that they, quote, looked at confidential information, and then the transcript says that was helpful to us, but they don't indicate whether or not they used the confidential information, they rejected the confidential information. There, as far as I know, there's no tape. Maybe there is, I just don't know about it. But it's a little weird thing, especially because a lot of the stuff involving the restitution fraud came from confidential information, as did gang involvement. As in 2024, he was approached by the gang again to do another stabbing, which in this case, to his full credit, he said no and reported it. Obviously led some questions about what exactly happened in 2019. It appears that maybe he didn't leave the gang, that he was actually asked to leave because the person didn't die during the stabbing, and there were some issues about the anger of some of the leadership within the gang, but maybe not. But he did do the right thing in 2024, and that should be absolutely acknowledged and said up front, which we did during the hearing. The problem is that we have violence that is not that old in 2019, and we have continued group
Your 2
criminal
minutes have
activity
elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
in 2023, which is not addressed in the decision, which is also part of the governor's request. Therefore, based on the totality of the circumstances, this is a case that should go back to a rescission hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're on the phone and you would like to speak in opposition to Betty Espinoza, and please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Benny Espinoza? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak about Betty Espinoza? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Benny Espinoza.
The next case is Paul Lopez. G as in George, 00079, item number 33. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of Paul Lopez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. We have a hand raised for Armando Munoz. Go ahead, Armando, and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. I was for Benny Espinoza. I was trying to speak earlier. I'm sorry.
I believe you'll have a time after all of the speakers, all the cases are finished. We'll reopen it for other comments.
Thank you.
Not a problem. If you are on the phone and you would like to speak in support of Paul Lopez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of Paul Lopez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers in support of Paul Lopez.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Paul Lopez.
Thank you. We do have a speaker card, James Langston, DDA of Stanislaus County. James, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. James Langston, Deputy District Attorney out of Stanislaus County. And we are asking that this case be referred for a rescission hearing based on the information from the parole hearing and the new information regarding the confidential information received from December 12th of 2024 regarding restitution fraud. And the parole hearing, we learned from the inmate's own words that he continued to engage in gang activity up until 2019. That's 14 years after his initial arrest. And despite all the programming that he has completed, the reviewing psychologist still found that he presented a moderate medium risk for violence, and that could be higher if he is still associating with gang activity. During the hearing, the inmate admitted that he omitted to the psychologist of committing forms of domestic violence. And it should be noted that that interview only occurred the parole hearing only occurred 2 months and 26 days after that interview, and he still omitted information about past violence. He also admitted committing restitution fraud in 2022 by having family members put money on accounts of other incarcerated people. This behavior, considered in the entirety of the inmate's history, shows a nexus of his past criminal thinking and particularly in gang activity or groups, and his present moderate medium risk for violence. Since the parole hearing, there was a denial of the inmate's request for resentencing under Penal Code section 1170.95/1172.6, and that was discussed during the parole hearing. We did not have a decision yet, but it has since been denied, and Superior Court Stanislaus Judge Donna Reeves ruled that the inmate petitioner failed to state a prima facie case for resentencing. The inmate disagrees that he committed the crime of premeditated first-degree.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
He does not agree that he committed the crime of premeditated first-degree attempted murder, and he lacks insight and is an unreasonable risk of danger. We ask that he be referred for the rescission hearing.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Paul Lopez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Paul Lopez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Paul Lopez? Is there anyone who has not spoken who would like to speak about Paul Lopez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Paul Lopez.
All right, the next case is Gerardo Resendiz, F as in Frank, 96693, item number 34. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first speaker card I have is for Rebecca Rabkin. Rebecca, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Radkin, and I'm counsel for Mr. Resendez. This case comes before the board for review on two grounds. One is for consideration for rescission based on what is being called new information from 2005. The other is a referral from the governor on insight grounds. Please refer to the letter that I submitted yesterday for a detailed discussion of the factual issue that is the basis for the rescission consideration. There's a significant amount of evidence available to you on what is ultimately a very narrow factual question, and the evidence weighs in favor of leaving Mr. Resendez's parole grant undisturbed. Very briefly, the new information is not, in fact, new. It was already incorporated into the POR, but nevertheless, the police reports, along with trial transcripts and the co-defendant's BPH hearing transcripts, all suggest that the panel's question should be answered in the negative. There is not clear evidence that Resendez did the kicking or stomping. In fact, to the contrary, and thus there's no grounds for rescission, for reconsideration of the parole grant on that front. Turning to the governor's referral, the governor asked the board to determine whether Mr. Resendez's insight and coping skills are sufficient. The record shows they are more than sufficient. Mr. Resendez spoke eloquently at the hearing in both English and Spanish about the causative factors of his crime. He provided the board with an extensive set of personal writings that demonstrated self-awareness and understanding and exceptional relapse prevention and parole plans. His CRA was low. Mr. Resendez completed Road to Freedom, Lighthouse 9, and numerous book reports solely on the subject of sexual offending, as well as programming in domestic violence, substance abuse, sex addiction, alternatives to violence, criminal thinking, gangs, anger management, life skills, and more. He has the support of correctional staff and volunteers at CTF, incarcerated and formerly incarcerated peers, and a vast support network in Mexico that includes reentry professionals and pro-social family and friends. For all the reasons stated here and in my letter, there's no cause to disturb Mr. Resendez's grant of parole. Please affirm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker card I have is for Shelley Eitelson. Shelley, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for your time and consideration today. My name is Shelley Eitelson, and I am the forensic social worker who had the pleasure of writing the youth offender report for Mr. Resendez. Mr. Resendez committed his crime at 16 years old while he was still in the critical stages of cognitive and emotional development. The 3 other people arrested and convicted with him were all adults. As a teenager surrounded by adult co-defendants, Mr. Resendez was especially vulnerable to pressure and negative influence from his older peers. Over the past 20 years of his incarceration, Mr. Resendez has demonstrated significant personal growth and maturation. His prison record reflects his rehabilitation and commitment to change. He has minimal disciplinary history, with his last rule violation more than a decade ago in 2014. He has taken responsibility for his actions and used his time in prison to develop understanding into the factors that led to his offense. When I first met him in April of 2024, I was extremely impressed by his insight, growth, and increased coping skills since his initial hearing in 2019. Though I was tasked with researching and drafting his social history, he had already done a huge amount of work on his own, having written an in-depth biographical statement in which he addressed his own childhood trauma and explained how those experiences shaped his distorted beliefs, insecurities, and control issues that were at the root of his offense. I have spent over 11 hours meeting with Mr. Resendez and interviewed his family members in Mexico. I can attest to his transformation from a juvenile offender who lacked insight and coping skills into a rehabilitated and accountable adult. His considered reflection, remorse, ability to learn from the past and correct his mistakes, plans for the future, and his consistent pro-social behavior over many years perfectly reflect the youth offender's unique capacity for change. For all these reasons, I believe Mr. Resendez does not—
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Resendez does not pose an unreasonable safety risk and believe affirming the commissioner's finding of suitability is appropriate today. Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in support of Gerardo Resendez and are in video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you are on the phone and would like to speak in support of Gerardo Resendez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Gerardo Resendez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers in support of Gerardo Resendez.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Gerardo Resendez.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you would like to speak in opposition to Gerardo Resendez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Gerardo Resendez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Gerardo Resendez? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak about Gerardo Resendez? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Gerardo Resendez.
The next case is Scott Fiallo, AL Adam Lincoln 1830, item 35. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Thank you. The first speaker card I have is for Julie Hubbs. Julie, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak. Julie, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. If you need to unmute by phone, you can press *6. We will circle back to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. We could hear you. You've muted yourself again. I think you'll have to press *6. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. My name is Julie Hubbs. I'm the CEO of About Progress Not Perfection. I met Scott in 2023 at Mule Creek State Prison when he took our Healthy Relationships class. Because we saw something impressive in him, we invited him to keep attending the class, and he did. He attended 5 separate Healthy Relationship classes with us. He seems to understand the impact of his crimes on his victims, their family, and the community. In addition to the workshops, Scott and I worked independently exploring his childhood trauma. As we discovered when he was in foster care at 8 years old, he was a client of Dr. William Ayers, and we processed his molest and rape while he was in the foster care system. He did a phenomenal job. We worked together for about a year exploring his childhood traumas. Upon release from prison, Scott will receive case management, coaching, counseling, and we are excited for the possibility of working with Scott in the community. We hope you continue to find him suitable for release from prison. He's come a long, long way in his growth and development, and there's a lot of good things left inside of him that I'm excited to see him operating successfully in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker card I have is for Sean Hawk. Sean, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself or press *6 by telephone. Sean, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. We'll circle back to Sean at the end. If you would like to speak in support of Scott Fiallo and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I'll call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and you would like to speak in support of Scott Fiallo, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Scott Fiallo? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers. We'll try one more time. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you. My name is Sean Hawk, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the board and commissioners today in support of Scott Fialo. Scott was 18 when he committed his life crime, and he was a former gang member. These are parts of the record. He has since renounced his gang membership and association with negative peers. And Scott has admitted that he was impulsive, he was angry, and as Ms. Hubbs just mentioned, some of the reasons for that anger and pent-up impulsivity. In addition to that was the fact that he was 18. We don't condone the choice made, but we do encourage learning from it. Scott's learned and internalized what we teach in our healthy relationships class. He's figured out the source of anger, figured out the source of violence, and he's implemented those tools to prevent him from being violent in the future. And I think that's been shown in his conduct. The embarrassment that Scott spoke about in his meeting with the board is understandable and is rational given the fact that when we grow and adults reflect on the acts of youth, they don't make a lot of sense. The Supreme Court has made clear that youth offenders are not to be viewed as adults or punished as adults. And the controlling legal authority mandates the board give great weight to youth offender factors. The granting panel did just that and weighed his maturity and found that he was suitable for parole. I believe the granting panel were correct in their decision, and I encourage the panel to uphold the grant of parole for Scott Fialo. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak in support of Scott Fialo? Chairperson, now it appears that there are no more speakers in support of Scott Fialo.
All right, we'll now take speakers in opposition to Scott Fialo.
Thank you, Chairperson. We do have a speaker card for Patrick Graber, DDA. Patrick, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute yourself or press *6 by telephone. Your 2 minutes starts when you begin to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Patrick Graber. I'm a Deputy District Attorney with Santa Clara County, and I am speaking in opposition to Mr. Fialo's parole release. People have two primary concerns as it relates to Mr. Fialo. As was brought up in his parole hearing in 2024, there was a troubling incident in his 2023 parole hearing in which Mr. Fialo was dishonest with the parole commissioners and lied about his involvement in a 2015 active inmate violence against another inmate. When asked about that incident in 2023, Mr. Fialo denied responsibility for the crime and denied causing any of that other inmate's injuries. This was not true, a fact which Mr. Fialo was challenged about during the 2023 hearing. Mr. Fialo had to acknowledge that he had in fact lied to the parole commissioners in 2023 in that hearing and filed a request for a 3-year delay or extension in his parole hearing. Mr. Fialo was again asked about this incident in 2024 and again initially appeared to show dishonesty about that incident. The transcript will show that the first 2 or 3 times Mr. Fialo was asked about that incident, he was again dishonest about it and denied responsibility for the crime, or didn't come forward about his involvement in the crime, only acknowledging his role in it after being asked or pressed on the issue a few times. Mr. Fialo's attorney tried to smooth over this concern by suggesting that Mr. Fialo simply misunderstood the question, but a look at the transcript will show that the question was in fact quite clear, suggesting that Mr. Fialo was still struggling with his ability to be honest with the parole board. This leads to obvious concerns about the defendant's internalization of his programming and his ability to be honest with individuals and with himself about his involvement in criminal activity. The people's other concern about
Your
Mr.
2 minutes
Fialo.
have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate your time and would ask that the defendant or the inmate be referred to a rescission hearing.
Thank you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Scott Fialo and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you are on the phone and you want to speak in opposition to Scott Fialo, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Scott Fialo? Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak about Scott Fialo? Chairperson, there appear to be no more speakers for Scott Fialo.
All right, the next case is Ernesto Gonzalez, H as in Henry 95067, item number 36. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
If you would like to speak in support of Ernesto Gonzalez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Ernesto Gonzalez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Ernesto Gonzalez? Chairperson, there are no more speakers in support of Ernesto Gonzalez.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Ernesto Gonzalez.
The first speaker is John Cross. John, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Good morning. We ask that the grant to Ernesto Gonzalez be rescinded and set for rescission hearing. We echo the concerns of the governor. The inmate still has issues with gang activity, substance abuse, and underdeveloped parole plans. The murder that took place August 15, 1992 was heinous and horrible. The inmate and his other gang member co-defendants got into a disagreement with the victim. While the co-defendants were beating and stabbing the victim, who was sitting in a car, the inmate came up and shot the victim in the back of the head, execution style, with a .44 caliber handgun, killing him. The inmate's 2018 CRA rated him a high risk for future violence. The inmate's 2023 CRA only came down to a moderate, higher moderate, the second highest rating one can get. He had a placement score of 89. Although it was over a year old at the time of the hearing, the same outstanding issues in the CRA were in the hearing. The inmate continued to minimize his conduct and deflect blame throughout the hearing. As to a separate 1992 stabbing where he stabbed a victim 15 times in a fight, he made it out to be self-defense. In the murder, he made it out to be self-defense, said he perceived the victim as a threat, a man who was sitting in a car being beaten and stabbed, and acted instinctively. He has a long history of gang involvement. He said at the hearing he was not a member of a street gang, just associated with them. Said all he did was sell drugs with a street gang, nothing violent. Could not give a good answer why he associated with gangs and negative peers. And he just disassociated in 2021, 3 years ago from the hearing, very recent. As to substance abuse, he could not come up with internal triggers for substance abuse. He could not come up with coping mechanisms to prevent use. His parole plans, he was very overconfident. He said there was nothing that could cause him to break the law and return to prison. The presiding commissioner gave him a hypothetical and was asked how he would handle it. He said he just could never see himself in that situation and moved on. As such, this improvident grant of parole should be rescinded and set for rescission hearing. The inmate is not prepared for grant parole. He has not internalized the program.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Thank you. And he does not have a long period of rehabilitation to distance himself from his prior criminal conduct as the law requires. Submit with that.
If you would like to speak in opposition to Ernesto Gonzalez and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Ernesto Gonzalez, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in opposition to Ernesto Gonzalez? Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wants to speak about Ernesto Gonzalez? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Ernesto Gonzalez.
All right, the next case is Sina Konkanian, AL as in Adam Lincoln 8228, item number 37. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
Our first speaker is Faraday Konkanian. Your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Excuse me, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning. I am Sina's mother, Faraday Konkanian, and I want to start by expressing my deepest condolences to the family of Emily Shane Rose for their loss. I can only imagine the immense pain and grief they've endured during the past 15 years. We've seen firsthand the weight of remorse that Sina carries for his actions. He's shown a deep understanding of the pain he's caused, and he's committed to making amends and rebuilding his life in a positive way. During his incarceration, Sina, who is on the autism spectrum, has worked hard to develop the tools and navigate strategies to manage his stressors and problems in his life and the life challenges. We're so proud of his progress he's made, and we believe that he's ready to reintegrate into the society. Sina has participated and learned from many classes, including Gogi, and he has become a Gogi coach. And he's planning, as when he's released, that he can do the Gogi training for others on autism spectrum. And this is a valuable skill to that they can manage the stress and anxiety. This demonstrates his commitment to self-improvement, rehabilitation, and giving back to his community. I firmly believe that Sina is ready to become a productive, law-abiding citizen. I'm sorry for my emotions. We
Your 2
support
minutes
his
have elapsed.
parole.
Please conclude your statement.
Thank you for listening.
Our next speaker is Behruz Kankanian. Behruz, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Hi. I'm Sina's father. And first of all, I want to say my deepest condolences to the Shane family and the community because of this harsh and immense pain that it caused this event. As we reflect on Sina's past, I want you to consider the remarkable progress he has made over the past 15 years. But it is true that his past action led to his conviction. I want to assure you that the person he was is not the person he is today. Today, Sina is a man of faith, kindness, and compassion. He is confident, self-aware, and deeply committed to being a positive contributor to society. This transformation has been witnessed firsthand by his family, doctors, prison staff, friends, and fellow inmates. Despite the prison, Sina has consistently demonstrated his ability to remain calm, reflective, and committed to personal growth. As you know, prison is a very harsh place, and Sina not even once showed being out of control or doing something illegal. His from the level 4 security, he came to level 1 in a couple of years, and he finished many courses, including Gogi classes that he took it by himself, and many of the classes
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please
universities.
conclude your statement.
Yeah. And then just we want to, we are confident that he can be the same nice person as it is now in prison while he's out with the family. Thank you.
We have a hand raised for Gogi Coach Taylor. Your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
I'm so very proud of Coach Sina. There are 24,000 CDCR students that we have on our roster. Of that, 160 have gone through the 2-year program and have become coaches. Of those, 60 have been released, and only 1 has recidivated due to an addiction issue. I've submitted a written statement of my support. I just want to say how proud I am of Sina because he was the very first of our coaches to complete certification as a facilitator of groups, GOGI groups. He does have employment waiting for him. He will be facilitating GOGI groups for individuals on the autism spectrum. I have more confidence in him than any one of our other 24,000 students. And please read my written statement and we will welcome him home with very open arms.
If you'd like to speak in support of Sina Kankanian and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Sina Kankanian, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wants to speak in support of Sina Kankanian? Chairperson, there are no more speakers in support of Sina Kankanian.
All right, we'll now take speakers in opposition to Sina Kankanian.
We have a number of speakers for opposition. Our first speaker is Jerry Churchill. Jerry, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
I'm Jerry Churchill. Emily Shane was a beautiful, beautiful 13-year-old girl. She lived down the street from us and she was in my son's class. My two oldest sons had just attended her bat mitzvah shortly before Sina Kankanian took her life. She was funny and sweet and creative and full of energy. She was certainly going to make a beautiful difference in the world. She had her whole life ahead of her. And my oldest son is the same age as Emily. He just turned 29 2 days ago. That's the age Emily should be right now, had Sina Kankanian not stolen her life from her. On April 3rd, 2010, when she was 13, Emily's life was senselessly taken away by this psychopath, Sina Kankanian. And before you judge me on the use of my word psychopath or think this was just an unfortunate accident, please consider that one of the firefighters who responded to the scene the day she was killed told me personally, and I do believe he testified at trial, that when he informed Mr. Kankanian that he had killed a young girl, Mr. Kankanian responded, "Fuck that bitch, I hope she's dead." This is the definition of psychopath, someone with no conscience. I attended both trials and never once saw Mr. Kankanian express remorse for killing beautiful Emily. I heard many witnesses testify that they called 911 that day, saying, "This guy is driving crazy, he's going to kill someone." This was not an accident. Mr. Kankanian knew that his actions behind the wheel that day were dangerous and would likely result in someone's injury or death, which it did. It resulted in the death of beautiful Emily Shane. Please deny parole to Sina Kankanian. His open demonstration of a lack of conscience demonstrates that he is a danger to society. Do not allow him to walk free, because Emily never will. And a scene I can never get out of my mind.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Emily's funeral, her parents and her grandparents who had to shovel dirt onto her casket, into her grave. No grandparent or parent should ever have to bury a child. Please deny parole to Sina Kankanian. He's a monster.
Our next speaker is Winston Churchill. Winston, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
My name's Winston, and I was friends with Emily Shane. She lived down the road from me. We both went to Malibu Middle School. She was 1 grade ahead of me. She was kind and friendly and very well liked by all of our friends at our school. Not long before she was killed, my brother and I attended her bat mitzvah. We had a lot of fun. She was very, very happy. Her life was just starting out. She was killed on April 3rd, 2010, when she was 13. I was 12, and I remember that being my first experience with death. I attended her funeral, and I remember how devastated her family was, especially her parents, Ellen and Michelle. When her killer, Sina Kankanian, went to trial for her death, I attended one of those days of the trial. One thing that was seared into my brain from 12 years old, one of the first responders was on the stand as a witness. I remember he testified about the events and telling Sina Kinkanian that he killed a young girl with his car. He said that Sina Kinkanian said something to the effect of, "Fuck that bitch, I hope she's dead." As I mentioned, I was 12 years old when this happened. It was the first time I ever experienced what true evil looked like. He wasn't remorseful. This wasn't an accident. There were many, many 911 calls just before Emily's death saying that he was driving crazy and that he was going to kill someone. He knew that his actions that day, driving recklessly, were likely to result in the injury or death of another person, and it did. That person was my friend Emily. Please deny parole to Sina Kinkanian. He robbed Emily of her life. He does not deserve to walk free. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Shane. Michael, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Commissioners, I'm before you not just as a grieving father, but as Emily's voice, the voice she lost forever at 13 when this man deliberately ended her life. For 14 years, I've awakened every morning to crushing reality that she's gone while he awaits freedom. The previous panel made a devastating error by ignoring crucial evidence. His chilling words at the crime scene still haunt me. F you, the bitch deserved to die. How can anyone make sense of these words alongside his claimed remorse? Yet the panel never confronted this glaring contradiction. I've watched his calculated manipulation of the system, feigning severe autism during the trial, then conveniently recovering enough to participate in prison programs, yet no college degree. The panel accepted his performance in a controlled setting while dismissing his history of deception and premeditated nature of his crime. Emily never got a chance to attend high school, fall in love, chase her dreams. But the previous panel seemingly forgot her, a bright, loving child whose future was stolen. When they weighed his practiced words against his brutal actions, his convenient religious conversion before parole consideration was accepted without scrutiny of this authenticity. Our community members spoke here today. I heard and feared disbelief at this decision. How can we explain to other children that the man who coldly murdered one of their peers might walk free? With my heart still shattered, I implore you to revoke this unwarranted grant. This isn't about vengeance. It's about protecting other families from existing the nightmare we live in every day. The panel's failure to address these critical inconsistencies isn't just procedural. It's a betrayal of justice for Emily and a danger to every child in our community. Thank you. Deny it.
Our next speaker is Emily Shane. Emily, you have 2 minutes. Your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. I'm sorry?
Ellen Shane. Emily's dead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. I am Emily Rose Shane's mother. How do I convey the utter anguish, suffering, and pain AL 228 has caused me, our family, friends, and community? It will forever weigh on my heart and being. It is a life sentence. How do you measure a child's life? How do you justify releasing a remorseless murderer? Is it because he served his bare minimum of his sentence of 15 to life? Because he was coached to present well at hearings? Or maybe because he's adept at acting, he used those same skills that he misrepresented himself during both pretrial hearings and court proceedings. Or perhaps it's his newfound religious conviction or claims that meditation and deep breathing now control his tendency to rage. For 15 years, he has lived in a structured medical facility, monitored to take his medication, his behavior observed. If released, there's no such structure. No guarantee he will remain medicated. He murdered Emily when he was off his meds. His family, by his own admission, are accustomed to using alcohol. So what happens when he's in this environment or provoked in some way to cause anger? Emily was 13 joyful, bright, full of promise. She is dead because of him. And as everyone has repeated here before, his response upon learning he killed her was, "I don't give a F." 15 years isn't nearly enough for justice for our daughter's life. And I do seek justice, not vengeance. He must serve more time to prove true remorse, work on his mental health rehabilitation, grasp the full consequences of his actions, and ensure he never harms
Your
another
2 minutes have
innocent
elapsed.
person.
Please conclude your statement.
I will. I have one quick sentence. Emily had no second chance. Please keep her killer behind bars. He is a risk to society. Prevent another innocent life from being lost.
Our next speaker is Marna Miller. Marna, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Marna Miller, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I am the retired deputy district attorney on this case. And what I will say is that the defendant was enabled by his family. His family knew he had anger management issues, and they still bought him a souped up automobile, which was the murder weapon in this case. They excused all of his actions. And while I understand that they are saying that they are remorseful now, I didn't hear that during the trial. Putting that aside, these are the people that the defendant is going to go home and live with. I believe that this defendant had anger management issues. He showed the anger management issues. And while you can say that he is able to comport his behavior now, that behavior is being able to be controlled because he is in a controlled environment. Given the opportunity to live in a society under the control of these people who weren't able to control him before is not a safe care for the community. I believe that he also was extremely manipulative during the trial, acted completely like an imbecile, drooling at the counsel table, but then when he was in the back, he would call his girlfriend who was up on the witness stand. He would call her and tell her she looked hot. She was doing a great job during the trial. So I believe that he is manipulative, and I believe that he has manipulated the commission, and for public safety reasons, he should not be allowed to be paroled at this time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Susan Schwartz. Susan, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Thank you. I am a former deputy district attorney. At the trial of this matter, Mr. Konkanian submitted a report by psychologist Mary Large in support of his defense. Dr. Large, after an extensive analysis of Mr. Konkanian's lifelong behavior, found that behavior to be replete with examples of problems with disinhibition as manifest in reports of emotional outbursts or tantrums well into adulthood, property destruction, and provocative comments directed towards authority figures such as airport security officers and highway patrol officers, and noted Mr. Konkanian had 2 involuntary hospitalizations during his early 20s due to tantruming to such an extent that his parents were concerned about their own safety. And she concluded that Mr. Konkanian, in an uncontrolled setting, has a fundamental inability to adequately self-regulate or to exert voluntary control over his behavior. Granted, he has controlled his behavior in a closely supervised setting. However, he is going to be released back to the same family that could not control his behavior in his past and that excused or enabled his drinking, and his substance abuse. We are very concerned that Mr. Kankanian will and does remain a risk to the public in an uncontrolled setting, and we are very concerned that
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
behavior he evidenced when he killed Emily Shane may be repeated.
Our next speaker is Flechelle Morin. Flechelle, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Flechelle Morin, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Members of the Parole Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I stand before you to strongly oppose the parole of AL 8228, a man whose violent actions deliberately took the life of Emily Shane, an innocent 13-year-old girl. This man intentionally used his vehicle as a deadly weapon, not through accident or negligence, but through calculated anger and brutality. His vicious act permanently robbed the family of their child, their peace, and their future. When considering parole, the foremost priority must be public safety. Allowing a man capable of such intentional and violent rage back into society poses a clear and unacceptable risk to our community. Someone who deliberately targets and kills a child out of anger demonstrates a profound and lasting capacity for violence and disregard for human life. If this individual were released today, can we confidently say that he will never again allow his anger to overpower his judgment? The brutal nature of his crime indicates a deep-seated aggression that could easily resurface, placing more innocent lives at risk. The safety and well-being of our families, friends, and community must come first. For the sake of the victim's memory and the protection of every innocent citizen, I urge this board to deny parole to AL 8228. Justice demands accountability, and public safety requires continued incarceration. We cannot afford to gamble with human life. Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Ralston. David, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Thank you. Today is March 19th, 2025. Sienna Kankanian killed Emily Shane on April 3rd, 2010, when he used his vehicle to run her over as she walked along the side Pacific Coast Highway. The case took several years to come to trial, and in 2012, he was convicted and received the sentence of 15 years to life. So I find it hard to understand how it is that a man who brutally and senselessly ended the life of an innocent 13-year-old girl would already have been paroled in 2023 if the governor hadn't reversed that decision. And in that report at the time, I quote, they stated, given the close nexus of his mental health stability and his risk for future violence against himself and others, I've determined that Mr. Kankanian must demonstrate a longer period of sustained medication compliance, improved self-awareness, and increased self-reliance before he can be released safely. That report was issued on October 18th of 2023. What is the rush to release this person? As you once again consider paroling a man who has not even served 15 years of the 15 years to life sentence he received after pleading innocence, it seems to me that the entire reason we are commenting on this matter is being overlooked. On April 3rd, 2010, again, not even 15 years since this death occurred, through his actions and decisions that day, he sentenced the Shane family to live out the rest of their lives in a state of grief and loss that no person can truly understand who has not experienced the loss of their child. He was 27 when he killed Emily. He had a job. He was in a relationship with a coworker that he lived with. He had a car. He had a family and friends. By every measure, he is what we consider an ordinary adult man. He had agency in his life, and when he lost his job, that small amount of adversity was, according to him, a reason for him to get in his car and engage in a 20-mile vehicular rampage that only ended.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Thank you. This was the act of a deeply selfish and self-involved person who has no interest in the life or safety of others. It is the act of someone who is either incapable of the most basic amount of empathy and regard for his fellow citizens, or someone who looks at the lives and safety of strangers as inconsequential and of no value in comparison to his own emotional state. I would urge you to understand that the Shanes see him in a way that perhaps you are not able to, and with a
Your 2
degree of
minutes have
clarity you are
elapsed.
not.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you. Please
comments.
Our next speaker is Hayland Conrad. Hayland, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Hayland Conrad, are you with us? Hayland Conrad, or if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. We will circle back. Our next speaker is Elvis Diaz. Elvis, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Thank you. I'm a friend of the Shane family, whose beloved 13-year-old daughter, Emily, was tragically killed by Mr. Kintanian in 2010, and he now seeks parole. However, he possesses a substantial risk to public safety. At the time of the incident, he was not taking his prescribed medication, and there is no assurance he would remain compliant if released. His pattern of uncontrolled anger renders him a potential threat. I mean, even Governor Newsom recognized this danger when he overturned Mr. Kinkanian's prior parole, citing inconsistent treatment compliance. If his mental health deteriorates or his anger resurfaces, the likelihood of another tragedy cannot be discounted. Mr. Kinkanian has not demonstrated genuine remorse for causing Emily's death. At trial, he showed indifference upon learning that he had taken a life, and his more recent statements have been largely scripted rather than heartfelt. His absence of authentic contrition strongly suggests he has not fully rehabilitated or accepted responsibility for his actions. Emily was a bright and loving 13-year-old, simply walking to meet her father after sleepover when she was struck and killed. The Shane family, as well as our broader community, has been permanently affected by this devastating loss. Their ongoing grief stands in stark contrast to Mr. Kinkanian's lack of empathy. Parole is intended for individuals who have demonstrated meaningful rehabilitation and no longer pose a threat to society. Ultimately, parole is a privilege contingent on inmate proving they no longer present a danger. Governor Newsom's 2023 reversal decision underscores this reality. When considered as a whole, I find the evidence shows that Kinkanian currently poses an unreasonable danger to society if released. Therefore, I reverse the decision to parole Mr. Kinkanian. In light of Mr. Kinkanian's history of anger
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
questionable remorse, and the inability to ensure he would remain medicated once free, the reversal of his parole grant is not only justified,
All right,
but
thank you, sir. All right,
tragedy.
I understand this case. Please hold your comments to 2 minutes, and if you're given a warning by the moderator, you may then give us a final sentence on your recommendation to this panel meeting on Banc today. Thank you for understanding.
Our next speaker is Rochelle Huppin. Rochelle, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I believe I was the last person to see Emily alive. I saw the inmate's car driving right behind me, he intentionally turned to hit her on the road on Malibu. There are 2 lanes, the lane closest to where she was walking, I was in the lane next to it. He came behind me and went and hit her. And as I said, at both trials, she looked like a rag doll going up in the air. It was horrifying. His car was airborne and hit the wooden pole, turned upside down. Unfortunately, help came a few minutes too late, but he would not get out of the car for them. He was belligerent. People spoke about his swearing. It was way more than that. And She was knocked out of one of her shoes. She had a tennis shoe sitting on the ground. 15 years later, every time I see a single tennis shoe, I am brought back to that day. It's absolutely horrifying. I have some empathy for his family, but they lost him that day, but they lost him a long time sooner than that. I have a daughter who, Emily should be her age right now, but she's been gone. My daughter is a psychiatrist now, worked at LA County in that same population. I don't have a lot of hope based on what I've heard from her about his ability to come back to society. What I don't understand is if he had killed somebody who was in their 80s, maybe, just maybe, he would have served some of his time, although he'd still be a threat, so it's irrelevant. But she lost an entire lifetime. That is what 15 years to life means. And in the case where you kill somebody very young, you should be
Your 2 minutes have
accountable.
elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
I have nothing more to say. I think everyone has really spoken clearly that he should not be released. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Julianne Walker. Julianne, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Good morning again. In this matter, medicine compliance is the high risk factor. Yet despite the clear evidence in the records that the inmate refused to take his meds, the CRA clinician, neither the CRA clinician nor the panel investigated those entries in his records by asking for an investigation, speaking to his team, and instead took the word of the inmate who lied to everyone for 5 years about taking his medicine, and he was off his meds at the time of the murder of Emily Rose Shane. Why didn't the clinician ask? Look at the med records to see why the inmate wanted to titrate down his med dose in 2018 and why he went back up in 2023. He said that was unclear and didn't go further into it. Instead, the inmate gave the panel inconsistent reasons that the treatment team was changing his meds due to cost, and then on the other hand, that he felt he was better and didn't like the side effects. This is precisely the risk. And how do we prevent this in the future? When you look at his relapse plan, as the governor notes, he still primarily relies on the support network and not himself. He is going back to his family that enabled him in the past, who will provide housing rather than him getting a job and supporting himself. Why not finish his college degree so he can better support himself? This is directly related to the risk factor of stress and coping. In the caveat, the CRA clinician noted in his report and his rating. Why was he being a coach rather than working on his own needs, such as getting completing his college degree so he's better assured of having a job on the outside? With respect to the rating being low, there were so many risk factors with moderate relevance. The 4 historic risk factors, past problems with relationships, employment, major mental disorders, and treatment response, a key. 2 clinical current risk factors.
Your 2 minutes have
again,
elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Moderate relevance, thank you, and 2 risk management factors, stress and coping and treatment response being the most. This evidence, along with much more, indicates there's good cause to set a rescission hearing to determine.
Thank you, ma'am. We've got that. Good. All right, thank you for your recommendation to the board.
At this time, we'll circle back. Halen Conrad. Halen, if you were with us, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Halen Conrad. If you'd like to speak in opposition to Sina Kankanian and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Sina Kankanian, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself.
Gail Pergamut.
We have a speaker in opposition.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Gail. My name is Gail. Emily was my cousin. I request that you deny parole for Sina Kankanian. His excuse for murdering Emily was he was, quote, having, excuse me, having a bad day. His level of bad day involving work and his girlfriend, nothing spectacular compared to the day-to-day problems that everybody faces. He attempted while driving up Pacific Coast Highway multiple times to target other vehicles. And what he chose to do was to crush a child as she stood by the roadside waiting for the light to change. The first responders who extracted him from his car said he asked, quote, "Is the bitch dead?" What was he doing? He was doing revenge. Revenge on the world because things were going badly in his personal life. I fully appreciate that his mother and father who spoke today are people of feeling, that they experience grief, that they experience remorse about this entire state of affairs. But unfortunately for them, they had the bad luck to have Sina as a son. There has been nothing remotely parallel to what we heard from them today in terms of emotion, remorse, and response coming from Sina. He has expressed none of this to Emily's parents, to my family, to the community. Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Okay. He poses an ongoing threat to the rest of the world if you, the board, should choose to release him. Please take this risk extremely seriously. Asperger's people with whom I work with on a daily basis.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your recommendation.
Okay.
See, we have a hand raised for Jerry Churchill.
Yes, I would like permission to read the statement by my son, Kearns Churchill, who did submit his statement in advance to the parole board, but due to his work schedule, he was not able to read it and asked me to read it on his behalf, please.
Go ahead.
My name is Kearns Churchill, and Emily Shane was my friend, neighbor, and classmate. She lived just down the road from my family, and we were in the same class at Malibu High School. The thing I remember most about Emily was how fun-loving and well-liked she was by all our friends at school. Shortly before she was killed, my brother and I attended her bat mitzvah. I remember how happy she was that night and how much fun we all had together. She really had her whole life in front of her. I remember very clearly finding out that she had been killed. It was the day before Easter Sunday in 2010. We were in the 8th grade. She was 13 and I had just turned 14. It was the first time I knew someone who had been killed. It just never occurred to me that someone our age could die. I remember going to her funeral and seeing how sad her family and friends were. One thing I will never forget is going to school the next day and going to class and seeing her desk empty and realizing that she wasn't there and she was never coming back. She was never going to be there. I remember our 8th grade graduation about a month after she was killed and realized she wasn't there and wouldn't be going to high school as we were all so excited to do. She was robbed of that experience and so many of the experiences all of her friends have been able to enjoy. She was robbed of that by Sina Konkanian. I am still friends with many of our Malibu middle school friends. We still hang out and see each other often. Emily should be here. Emily's life was senselessly taken by Sina Konkanian, whose reckless, dangerous, irresponsible driving on April 3rd, 2010 caused her death. Please deny parole to Sina Konkanian, as he has no right to walk free after robbing Emily of her life.
Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in opposition to Sina Konkanian? Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wants to speak about Sina Konkanian? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Sina Konkanian.
All right, the next case is Michael Pinella, T as in Tom 02350. Everybody wants to take a break, I'm hearing. Okay, we'll take a short 5-minute break then. The time now is 10:16. We'll do our best, 10:46. We'll do our best to return at 10:51, please.
You good? I'm on 5 minutes.
Or
All right, moderator, it appears we are all back. We ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next case is Michael Pinella, T-Tom 02350, item 38. For this case, Commissioner Purcell has stepped out, and so she will not be involved in public comment, nor deliberations, nor voting on this case. However, Commissioner Chappelle has stepped in, and he should be joining us remotely. I see him there. Commissioner Chappelle, are you present, sir?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, then we will begin with speakers in support of Mr. Pinella.
We have a number of speakers for this case. Our first speaker is Casey Brown. Casey, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Casey Brown, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
All right, my name is Keith. I have the wonderful pleasure of being coached and guided by Mr. Pinella. He is the kind of person that is quite selfless in helping others in recovery. I am where I am now as a substance use counselor in California, working at a homeless shelter in California. On my way to start my master's program here in California, in large part due to the work that Mr. Pinella put in with me. I am offering in support of Mr. Pinella basically whatever he needs. He's the kind of person that I really feel would be a great attribute to this community. And my support looks like standing in when he's in crisis, giving him space for someone to talk to, a familiar face, which is one of the hardest parts of transitioning out. I am a relapse prevention counselor here at my job. I work with people daily in this, and will continue to support Mike Piniella in this. I would also like to say that my experience with him is in times of hardship. He's the kind of person that people were flocking to for guidance, and I deeply, deeply respect what he was able to do in those spaces, and I really do foresee him continuing that kind of work upon his release.
Our next speaker is Patricia Piniella. Patricia, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Patricia Piniella, are you with us?
I am. Good morning. I'm speaking in support of my older brother, Michael Piniella. I have been visiting my brother regularly and frequently for his 25-year incarceration. I have seen significant changes over this time. In the beginning, he was stuck, simply serving time and staying stagnant. Then he started realizing change was possible even while in custody, and chose to spend a majority of his sentence becoming a better man. We have spent hundreds of hours in visiting and on phone calls, processing childhood, learning to take responsibility for our adulthood, and helping each other walk through life's challenges. He is very knowledgeable in mental health and uses his CBT triangle training of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, as well as new coping skills. He has facilitated groups mentoring fellow inmates. This has been confirmed during visiting, as other inmates or other families will approach my brother to thank him for his help. Michael has attainable parole plans with life goals after prison. He is eager to work at his guaranteed job immediately after parole. CDC has provided vocational training in welding, CNC machine, and construction, which will offer more career choices for him. His instructors have been instrumental in learning these skills as well as interpersonal relationships. My parents are gifting him a truck which will allow him to be independent in living, working, school, and a 12-step program. Michael has been clean and sober for 17 years now and will continue. Our friend Shane Lehman will be his interim sponsor, helping him get connected to a home group in the AA or NA community. Several successful parolees have kept in touch with Michael, who will help him navigate the life after parole. Michael's transitional housing is only 12 minutes from my home. I believe he will be safe, welcome, and comfortable since we have lived in this area most of our lives. I look forward to continuing our relationship
Your
with
2
Life
minutes have
Talks,
elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
soon taking place on the beach or local hills. Please affirm the decision. Thank you.
The next speaker is Charles Larson. Charles, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I am Michael's stepfather, who met Michael 6 years ago. Michael immediately told me about the crime he committed and was able to explain what led him to do this and what he has done to understand and mitigate those things. Michael has shown to me a deep remorse for his behavior and expressed it in the many apology letters and victim impact statements and papers he has shared with us. His understanding of his causative factors run deep. We have read his papers of criminal thinking, drug abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, violence and rage, relationships, and mental health. Each time he shows he has gained insights, often through teaching the classes to others. He receives great satisfaction in helping others and sees how that helps himself as well. Michael knows that his sobriety is the crux of his continued recovery, and he delves into that in his extensive writing on his parole plans. He has over 10 detailed plans starting from day one. As accountability partners, Michael's mother and I are very pleased with the program and network Michael has for himself, including the transitional housing, parole officers, and sponsors for the local NA and AA 12-step programs. I believe that the governor's office is correct in understanding the importance of Michael's continued sobriety, but I also believe in the opinion of Dr. Spain in Michael's low-risk psych evaluation. And I quote, "If Mr. Pinella were to be released right now with his existing plans, they would be adequate to manage his risk in the community." End of quote. Michael's mother and I, his brothers and sisters, their families, his 12-step sponsors, the ex-prisoners he has helped along the way, who are now successfully out showing him the way, the transitional housing self-help programs, the parole officers.
2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
With Michael having a truck, job, tools, bank account, and housing with us, we
Sir,
believe
your final recommendation, please.
we hope you'll allow him to become a productive member of society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Joseph Magazzini.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Magazzini. I had the privilege of representing Mr. Pinella at his most recent parole suitability hearing. The governor raises really two concerns in terms of asking this full board to review Mr. Pinella's grant of parole. One is whether he has adequate relapse prevention plans, and one is whether he has adequate social supports. What I would ask the panel to do is, to review the plans he submitted on page 459 of the master. They are incredibly detailed, incredibly personalized. They cover all of his risk factors. I've been doing this a while. I don't know that I've seen much better relapse prevention plans than what Mr. Pinella put together. I will point out that even as early as the 221 CRA, the clinician felt that he had presented a solid plan to prevent relapse, ultimately finding him to be a low risk for violent relapse. He's denied in 2023. He gets a new CRA. The clinician in that CRA thought his parole plans were viable, thought they mitigated his risk to the point of being a low risk of recidivism. The panel in 2024 again discussed his plans with him, again reviewed his plans, specifically stated that they thought his plans were sufficient, that they thought he had a sufficient understanding of his triggers and sufficient coping skills in place to prevent relapse. In terms of social supports, I asked the panel to consider the speakers that are speaking on his behalf today, the numerous support letters submitted on his behalf, and the community resources he's identified in the parole plans he submitted to the master packet on page 517. He identifies numerous reentry resources that he can refer to if any of his other social supports fall short. In short, the governor does not identify any specific issue with his relapse prevention plans and parole plans. No one else who's reviewed this matter has found them. Therefore, I think they do sufficiently mitigate his risk, as all these people have concluded. I asked the full board to reach the same conclusion today and uphold the grant of parole. Thank you.
If you would like to speak in support of Michael Pinella and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Michael Pinella, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Michael Pinella? Chairperson, there are no more speakers in support of Michael Pinella.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Michael Pinella.
First speaker is Gina Pearl. Gina, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Thank you. In November of 1999, Michael Pinella violently murdered 20-month-old Jonathan Bell by forcefully punching the little boy multiple times in the abdomen. Jonathan suffered more than 50 bruises to his abdomen and multiple internal injuries, which caused a very slow and painful death for this infant. In the months leading up to his trial, Michael Pinella made comments to multiple people, including, "I killed the little bastard, and I'm going to get away with it just like O.J. Simpson did." He even threatened to kill one of the witnesses who would eventually testify against him. In October of 2000, a jury found Michael Pinella guilty of first-degree torturous murder of Jonathan Bell. If convicted of this crime today, the sentence would be life without the possibility of parole. When he entered CDCR, he picked up multiple rules violations beginning in 2006 and stemming through 2011. Additionally, starting in 2007, at the same time he claims to have become clean and sober, he began a manipulative and calculated scheme to avoid restitution payments to Jonathan Bell's family. For 8 years, every single day, while completely sober, inmate Pinella manipulated his mother, the same mother he plans to live with if released, into believing his story and working with other inmates to put money on their books rather than his, so CDCR could not automatically deduct payments based on his legal obligations to Jonathan Bell's family. At his first parole hearing in 2001, he was granted parole, a decision which was quickly reversed by Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom found significant negative factors demonstrating unsuitability, including the relatively recent 8-year restitution fraud demonstrating a significant gap in insight.
Your 2 minutes
Governor
are last. Please conclude your statement.
Thank you. We're asking the board to rescind the grant of parole. Thank you.
We have a hand raised for Shannon Stark. Shannon, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Shannon, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. It looks like you're muted. Shannon, are you there? If you would like to speak in opposition to Michael Piniella and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Michael Piniella, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in opposition to Michael Piniella? Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wants to speak about Michael Piniella? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Michael Piniella.
All right, we will just pause for a few moments while we bring Commissioner Purcell back into the room, and we'll excuse Commissioner Chappelle, and we'll resume with him when this matter comes in our private meeting.
Thank you.
All right, the next case is Dennis Rock, V as in Victor 72383, item number 39. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
If you would like to speak in support of Dennis Rock and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. Krista Stull, you have 2 minutes. Your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of my brother. I just want to say that throughout the past many years, I have seen my brother work very hard to take the classes and counseling necessary to rehabilitate, and I've seen his deep sadness and sorrow for the crime he has committed. I've also watched him work very hard with the dogs and the joy and pride that he feels when he has trained a dog that is going to a veteran or a young girl that needs a service animal, and the positivity that he knows he's bringing into the world. And I just ask that you will give him the opportunity to take that positivity and goodness into the community, because I believe that that's exactly what my brother will do, is he will work hard as he has for many years. He will work hard to be a light. And his remorse for his crime is something that I feel like he's been working very hard to redeem himself from. So I just ask that you please affirm his parole and grant him the ability to be a light in the world. Thank you.
If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Dennis Rock, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Dennis Rock? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Dennis Rock. I'm sorry, there are no more speakers in support of Dennis Rock.
All right, we'll now take speakers in opposition to Dennis Rock.
If you would like to speak in opposition to Dennis Rock and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Dennis Rock, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in opposition to Dennis Rock? Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wants to speak about Dennis Rock? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Dennis Rock.
All right, the next case is Eugene Strickland, P as in Paul, 56847, item number 40. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
If you would like to speak in support of Eugene Strickland and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Eugene Strickland, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in support of Eugene Strickland? Chairperson, there are no more speakers in support of Eugene Strickland.
We will now take speakers in opposition to Eugene Strickland.
If you'd like to speak in opposition to Eugene Strickland or on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Eugene Strickland, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in opposition to Eugene Strickland? Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak about Eugene Strickland? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Eugene Strickland.
All right, the last case today is Zhu Tao, AX Adam X-ray 0705, item number 41. Moderator, please call for speakers in support.
If you'd like to speak in support of Zhu Tao and are on video, raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it's your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in support of Zhu Tao, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of Zhu Tao? Chairperson, there are no speakers in support of Zhu Tao.
We'll now take speakers in opposition to Zhu Tao.
The first speaker is Dean Archibald. Dean, your 2 minutes begin when you begin to speak. Dean Archibald, are you with us? Dean, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. If you would like to speak in opposition to Zhu Tao and are on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. If you're on the phone and want to speak in opposition to Zhu Tao, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak in opposition to Zhu Tao? Circling back, Dean Archibald, are you with us? Is there anyone who has not spoken and wants to speak about Zhu Tao? Chairperson, there are no more speakers for Zhu Tao. I see we have a hand raised for Dino Paraskevopoulos. Is this for the Clark case?
That's correct. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me. This is back on item number 28, Andrew Clark. What's clear is the inmate is a very violent offender that has a history of marijuana use, cocaine usage, and heroin use at ages 13 and 14 that began. His crimes are ultra violent. They occurred in San Diego County and in Riverside County. Specifically, the board received confidential information dated February 11th, 2025, a report from an investigator that dealt with basically two lies that the inmate provided to determine whether he lied. The first one was whether he lied when he testified at the hearing, parole hearing, his last parole hearing, that a doctor told him to lie and say he was having substance abuse withdrawal problems in order to get into the MAT program, in order to get prescribed Suboxone. So that's the first lie, whether that's true or not, whether a doctor told him to lie in order to do that. Number two is his continuing lie for over 2 years from December 15th, 2022 through the parole hearing date, his last parole hearing of January 14th of 2025, to continue that lie in order to take daily doses of 12 milligrams of Suboxone. It turned out to be 760 doses that was established in the testimony at the hearing. And whether or not that was a lie, and number three, whether or not the inmate lacked the understanding of what he did being wrong. And he didn't. He thought it was okay. He testified as that. Then he was granted parole. The confidential report came out February 11th of this year to address those issues, as well as restitution fraud. Commissioners, Mr. Inmate Clark's manipulation, his criminal thinking, and antisocial behavior continued for 2 years by lying to get into this program, lying to continually obtain Suboxone, and be in that MAT program for over 2 years and get 760 doses. The inmate's lies.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude
Thank you.
your statement.
Thank you. This warrants a rescission hearing. Thank you very much.
All right, very good. We will now take comments from anyone who has not yet spoken and wants to comment on a case on today's agenda.
Is there anyone who has not spoken who wants to speak in support of or opposition to any case on today's agenda? If you are on video, press the raise your hand button. If participating by phone, unmute yourself and identify yourself. Chairperson, there are no more speakers for today's cases.
All right, we'll now move towards the open comments section of today's meeting. Does any board member wish to request an agenda item for a future meeting? All right, hearing none, we will now hear comments from the public regarding general matters related to the board. We are not taking comments on cases. Comments concerning future parole hearings are not permitted during this meeting. Please send those comments to the board for inclusion in the materials for that hearing. Comments are limited to 2 minutes and there's no opportunity for rebuttal. Please wait to speak until we call your name or identify you by your login information. I do have 2 speaker cards present, I believe, for people presently in the room. We will start with those. Mr. Danzel Nunsuch, are you present, sir? All right, hang on, let's get the mic on for you, sir.
I want to thank you for the work that you do. It's extremely important. Commissioner Barton, 5 years ago, your decision to grant me parole marked a pivotal moment in my life, setting me on a path to transformation and growth. By giving me a second chance, you didn't just unlock a door to freedom, but you opened a gateway into a future filled with possibilities, opportunities, and responsibilities that I have strived to fulfill with dedication and purpose. The journey since has been remarkable. Since my release in April 2020 during the height of COVID-19 pandemic, I navigated numerous challenges with determination. I volunteered at the Yolo County Food Bank, completed the Northern California Construction Pre-Apprenticeship Program, which led to me a role in the local 185 and a job with Tiger. My dedication to innovation and inclusiveness was recognized in 2023 when I won the Northern California SBDC Inclusive Pitch Deck Competition, further validating the path that I'd chosen. I co-founded BrandLift 360, a marketing agency dedicated to helping businesses elevate their digital presence. Through BrandLift, we employ 6 individuals, multiplying that positive impact your decision had 5 years ago. Beyond my businesses, I embrace leadership roles that allow me to shape my community's future. As a board member of Sacramento Entrepreneurship Academy, I help nurture the next generations of business leaders, providing guidance and resources to empower them to succeed. Additionally, I serve on the Leadership Council, We Prosper Together, an organization that's committed to creating a sustainable future for our economy and our region. I found love and partnership with my wife, Jennifer. Together, we have established roots in this community by purchasing a home in Roseville.
Your 2 minutes have elapsed. Please conclude your statement.
Again, the work that you do is important, and I want to thank you today for doing it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Vanessa Nelson Sloan.
For some time now, we have been bringing to the board's attention, not to say harping, on the issue of restitution avoidance as a cornerstone for denial. We've spoken on what we see as the legal issues, and yes, we're aware of 155.5B, but it would take an industrial strength rubber band to stretch the rather paltry amounts placed in plain sight on prisoners' books to meet the hidden assets test of this citation. More on point, for literally decades, the board has been paroling those who have participated in this practice and paroling them successfully without detriment to the recidivism rate. We continue to question how now to use this issue as a primary reason for denial is equal application of and protection under the law. We've also been concerned about the potential impact to the parole grant rate to use restitution-driven denial might have, and it appears our concern has been warranted. New figures show that the grant rate for 2024 will likely be around 30.5%, down only 4 points from the 2023's 35%. We understand various factors can impact the parole grant rate, but there's nothing of significance has happened lately. No new cohorts into the cycle, no impactful laws, no new processes that would account for this decrease in the parole grant rate, other than the use of the restitution issue. Of course, grant rate is not the primary concern of the board, and we understand that. But for application processes and practices, those should be maintained over time. We'll continue to monitor this and track this problem and remind the panels of the damage to hope, that key motivator of change that is being done under this service, in the service of events that happened often years ago and have ceased to happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't believe we have any more speakers in the room, so we'll turn it over to our moderator to see if we have any online.
If you would like to make a general comment or on video, please raise your hand using the Microsoft Teams button, and I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. We have a hand raised for Armando Munoz.
Yes, Armando Munoz speaking. I too was granted parole in 2021. I'm a sponsor for Benny Espinoza, and I've watched this man grow phenomenally, so much that he was able to walk away from a lot
I'm
of
very
chaotic.
sorry to interrupt you, but this is a time for general comments about the board. The time for comments about specific cases has passed, but if you have a general comment, you can continue.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you would like to make a general comment by telephone, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 and identify yourself. Is there anyone else who's not spoken who would like to make a general comment? Chairperson, there are no more speakers.
On behalf of my colleagues, I wish to thank everyone for participating today. We will recess the open session of the Marks Executive Board meeting at this time. We will return briefly following closed session to adjourn today's meeting.